Hi. I was gonna say, what is good? All right, so today I'm here to talk to you about a Turks and Caicos favorites. Let me clarify: a Turks and Caicos and Bahamian favorites. We're talking chicken Souse and Johnny Cake. Now, if you are not from either of those two countries, it's okay. You're about to learn a few things. If you are my friend and you have been to my house, or you've been watching my IG stories, or if you follow, then you know what it is. If you've had it, you know what it is, right? So chicken Souse and Johnny Cake is a staple dish. Honestly, it should be our national dish, but it's not. That or fire engine or something, I don't know. But anyway, chicken Souse is made with Souse in general, but chicken Souse is made with chicken pieces, usually wingettes, onion, whole spice, aka reggae balls, and vinegar and water. That's it. It's a very simple meal, or a simple dish. The difference, well, growing up, I learned that the difference between Turks Island style chicken Souse and Bahamian style chicken Souse is that the Bahamians add potatoes, and Turks Island people feel that once you add potatoes, it's not sauce, it's soup. So there's that whole situation. But I actually used to like the potatoes when I was younger, because I think my aunt, who is from Bahamas, used to throw it in there. But then once everybody was like, what are you doing? I was like, all right, well, fine, I won't put the potatoes in, but I'm gonna sneak the potatoes in there one day as a grown up. All right, anyway. But it is chicken Souse is an acquired taste because of the vinegar, and so you kind of have to warn people, because they're like going to be like, I think I've had it, I don't remember what it's called, but I think like there's a Dominican vinegary soup like situation. I think it's cold, don't remember what it's called, but it reminds me of Souse. So again, it's an acquired taste. I'm going to walk you through how I make it. I won't say we, because I've deviated from like what my family does a little bit. And then Johnny Cake is basically a bread. It's a mix between a bread and a cake, well, you don't know, but has a crumble top, and like a crumble top, and it's just like, a good consistency. It's not too soft and it's not hard. It's really like in between. I remember growing up, somebody changed the recipe, and not like they got it from somebody else, and it came out like they were doing it this smooth way, like it was more cakey than like bread. It didn't have the same consistency, and I was just like, who told y'all to do this? And I felt away because I was not happy, because it was straight, it was smooth at the top, and I know Johnny Cake to have those little mountains, I like to call them, right? Like I need to see that I don't want to see the smooth situation. So anyway, additionally, so the Johnny Cake goes with the Souse. Like, I cannot make Souse without Johnny Cake. I can make Johnny Cake without Souse. Like, I've started to make Johnny Cake with saltfish, or just because it's just, especially for breakfast, wake up, cut one piece of Johnny Cake, drink some tea, call it a day, right? It goes. That's the other thing. Sizing, portion size. This ain't no situation where you slice up a little sliver of Johnny Cake. If that thing ain't 2 inches by 4 inches, we ain't talking nothing. All right, like it needs to be a chunky piece. All right, that's how you just eat it. Some, a lot of people like to take the Johnny Cake, dip it inside the Souse, do that. I don't really fancy that. I'm kind of like eat it together, mush it up in your mouth. I don't like soggy bread. So, but that's that. Like it's an acquired taste. The bread is not an acquired taste. Bread is good, period. But the Souse is. but it's just one of my favorites. So here's how I go about making it. And if you have questions, let me know. How island people do, or how, people who cook, but, I'm not doing anything to really any type of measurements. I'm going with the flow. I've provided what I feel works, but I think you should definitely, go at your own pace and kind of, don't overdo things. More less is more. You can always add, but you can never take away. So that's key when it comes to the Souse. The directions for the Johnny cake is pretty straightforward. And then yeah, that's basically it. Love, I adore whole spice, so I just throw a lot in there, and I love onions, throw a lot in there, and honestly, like I can eat the or drink really the liquid from the Souse by itself. Like I don't even need chicken sometimes, like if you season that thing good enough, chat. Oh, don't kill me today. All right, enjoy. Shout out to my TCI, my 649s. Love you all. Okay, so the first thing we're going to prepare is the Johnny cake. My family normally makes this huge pan of Johnny cake because we have so many people in the family. But since I live by myself, I have cut the recipe down and I just make a small half pan of Johnny cake, which is like enough for me. I think it's about 6 servings. First step that you want to do is you want to grease and flour your pan. That's first. While you have clean hands, because this does get pretty messy, grease and flour your pan first. After that, you basically just take all of the dry ingredients, mix them together in a large bowl, and then once all of that is together, you take the margarine or the butter, whatever it is that you're using, you cut those up into like little chunks, spread them out in the dry ingredients, and then you rub the margarine and the butter into the flour mixture, and it kind of looks like, or it should look like, breadcrumbs, right? It should look, crumbly. So do that. I want to say do that for about 3 minutes or so. Then after you have that, you just kind of make a center well in the center of all of that. And then you add the cream and you add the water, and then you mix that up as well. If it's too stiff, you can put a little more water, you can put a little more cream. It shouldn't be really, really tough. You should have a wet and a sticky kind of dough. Once that's done, again, probably mixing for about 3 minutes or so. If you don't want to use your fingers, you can use one of those silicone spatulas to do that, does the job, because I have my moments where I don't feel like getting my hands dirty. So once that's done, put it inside the baking dish, add some butter to the top of the dough, and then stick it in the oven. And you're going to put it on 360 for about 45 minutes, depending on your oven. My oven is a little less powerful, so I put on 360 and then I bake it for like, I don't know, 50 minutes or an hour. You just keep checking it and to see if the top is golden brown. Once the Johnny cake is in the oven, it's time to work on our chicken Souse. Now, to prepare, you can do this one of two ways. My new thing is basically brining the chicken overnight in salt so that the salt kind of gets into the meat, or you can season the chicken before. It is totally up to you. The other thing that people like to do is, you may not want to season the chicken at all if you're in a rush and you just kind of want to throw it in there. You can just put the chicken in water, make sure that you season the water really well, and that begins your process. So it really is up to you. My new thing, again, is brining. So you have your chicken in the water, you have it on the stove. I like to put it like medium high. You keep that on there, I want to say for about 20 minutes or so. Just go to the recipe that I put on the website. Once that's done, you are going to take off probably about a half a cup of the broth that you just boiled the chicken in, and pour that into the onions and the allspice that you have prepared, and the vinegar, right? Then you pour off the excess and you put a fresh batch of water over your parboiled chicken. And I usually just put enough to cover it depending on how much broth you want. That, that's totally up to you. But I just put enough to cover the chicken, and then we let that boil for a little. You also can take the opportunity to season the chicken and the water a little bit more if it's not like too taste. So just, taste it every now and then to see if it has what you need. My go-to spices are like black pepper, complete seasoning, um, kosher salt, and yeah, that's basically it. So when you start the second round of boiling your chicken, that's when I usually turn on the stove for the smaller pot with the onions and the allspice and the vinegar and the like half a cup of broth inside. That's when I start um, boiling those things. But it's really a simmer. It's not a boil. So I usually put the stove on like a medium low. Once my onions and my allspice and my vinegar have kind of gotten tender, then I will add that to the pot of chicken. So once you add the onion mix to the bigger pot, you let that simmer and that's it. I like when my meat is falling off of the bone. So I let that simmer real low, or sometimes, honestly, chicken sauce tastes better the next day after it's had time to sit. Whew, it tastes better then.